So we're back at the sprint spot. Today we're gonna compare sprint stand for under your pedal and the new sprint block, brought to you by Sprint Block. Alright, so you guys have seen my videos, my sprint sessions where I use this block. It's just a little metal stand, or I guess we'll call it a stand, not a block. So you can be clipped in and really stop and start at a good point. That's what this is made for. Something you don't have to keep a foot on the ground. Just like I said, you put this under your pedal and you balance on it. The guy who developed this, Coach Sean Dwight, he's the coach of so many champions, Connor Fields, Kyle Bennett, Warwick Stevenson, Sam Willoughby. But that's who developed this idea, and now he's come out with a much better idea. As soon as I saw this online, I wanted to have my own. I wanted to, one, do a review for you guys on it, and two, I've been doing so many sprint and training sessions and it kind of works in pretty perfect. And again, we have all the timers set up, so we're gonna compare the sprint stand versus the sprint block and see how beneficial this stand actually is compared to that block, because I haven't used it yet, but I'm very curious to get into this because I know what I don't like about the stand and I know the concept behind this, so I'm looking forward to doing this and giving you my opinion. And this is not a sponsorship tool or review or anything. I genuinely saw this online, and one, I didn't know it was made by Sean Dwight, which is super cool because I know the guy, but I wanted to get one, do my own honest opinion, not a sponsored plug or anything. And as always, my girls are with me. We are set up at 30 foot. I went with 30 feet because you have that 30 foot mark out of the gate at pretty much any race nowadays, UCI or USA BMX. That's the new rule, the 30 foot line, you can't cut anybody off. So the 30 foot line is where we want to get to first, right? So that's why I have it set up at 30 feet. So we're training that acceleration from your start to that 30 foot line. So I've marked the timers, so now the timers will always be in the exact same spot every session. I've also marked the ground where the sprint block sits. That way, every time I put the block in, it always has this exact spot, because if I go back a few inches, you're giving yourself a head start through the timer, so you're getting your speed up before you hit the first timer, which in return, you're gonna be faster from point A to point B. So we always wanna have these blocks, whether it's the sprint stand or the sprint block, you always wanna have it in the exact same position if you have a timer set up. If you're not running timers, it doesn't really matter. Just like we did the shoes, we're gonna go back and forth to make sure there's no warm-up effect, and we're getting pretty accurate times on both the sprint stand and the sprint block. Before we get into it, I wanna go over the sprint block a little bit. It comes with these extra little spacers. So the spaces are to go under the block. That it changes where your start pedal sits. The more stacks you have underneath, higher it's gonna bring your back pedal up, which in return is lowering your front pedal, so you can really kind of get it exact to where your starting position is. It actually comes with a little chart of training suggestions, general acceleration and absolute acceleration. Yeah, it comes with like this little grippy pad. It just helps from this box sliding. So two spacers actually sits exactly where my sprint stand is. We put our back foot on it and we can balance. Obviously this doesn't move, so you can put some force on it. As much as we just try to go forward, you naturally have a little pullback. So one, a pullback is gonna, like, the stand is fighting against your pedal, and it's either gonna feel awkward or you're just gonna knock the stand over. Well, when you throw the sprint block in there, you can't push too hard because it will slide backwards. As long as you come through and drop it and really just make sure your force is really just sitting on it, not overly doing it. If it slides like a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, I wouldn't really worry about it. From the videos I've seen, like I said, we're not doing gate starts, we're doing sprints. You're always gonna have a natural little pull. Well, that little pull is what this slides for. So it's up, yank back, and you take off. We're gonna start with the sprint stand. We'll do 3 sprints on the stand, and we'll do 3 sprints on the block, and then we'll go back and forth. And yes, I've chosen the Bonts today. I ordered bigger HT platform clip pedals, so when the bigger platform comes, so I got more service on the Afton shoes, then I'm gonna do more with the Afton shoes.
Go, Dad.
Yeah? All right, sprint number 1. With the sprint stand, you really gotta kind of be over your bars a lot more. You can't really, more you lean back, more you're gonna have the tendency to pull, and when you have a stand, you can't do that pull. Weight kind of up on the bars, and all we're focusing on is driving on that first pedal, and then really pulling that second pedal around. With a stand, you can't actually just snap. You gotta be real guided first pedal. Yeah. 1.70?
Yeah.
Sprint number 2 on the sprint stand. 6.7. 1.67. It's like working out in the gym. You go to do bench press, your first set, it feels a little heavier than your second set. That's what I'm talking about when I refer to warm-up effect. So I'm sure these first few, so we're gonna do first 3. I imagine this third one's gonna be a little faster than the second one. And if the first few on the sprint block are faster, I'm not gonna be surprised, but that's why we're gonna go back and forth a bit. For 3 on the sprint stand. So we got 2 1.67s. So maybe that's what we'll kind of stay around. All right, so this one we can lean back a little more and snap a little more. On the sprint stand, like kind of snapping at 80%, I'd say. But now with the sprint block, you should be able to snap. Oh, got a 6.6. I kind of expected it to be a little quicker for 2 reasons. One reason, the warm-up effect, like we talked about. And 2, you're able to just give it more on that first pedal, which I find really important because my whole lead up to Grands, I was doing all my sprints, but on the sprint stand. And I felt like how I was doing sprints on the sprint stand didn't translate to the track as good. So if I went to other tracks, I was noticing I was having a hard time really keeping up with the gait, like my snap was slower. I think that's from being on the sprint stand, not having so much explosive movement on that first pedal, and really just trying to guide it. So I might have started slowly transitioning that into my gait form. Oh my God. Oh! Well, that's gonna be the fastest one of the day, obviously. Because when you start on the sprint stand and you just move forward, that first pedal feels really smooth and efficient, but I feel like you're not exploding on the first pedal like you should. So doing it on the, having that little snap on the sprint block definitely does feel like I'm working a little harder. It was definitely easier for me to break form. I felt like my core kind of break loose, but the time was obviously way quicker. We're only 5 sprints in, but I'm liking what I'm feeling so far. It's pretty cool. All right, sprint number 6, sprint number 3 on the sprint block. .64. We're gonna line it back up. 2 more on the stand, then back to 2 more on the block. I'm gonna film directly behind, try to analyze the form coming off the block. This is sprint number 7. We're back on the sprint stand. Fellas, I completely forgot something. So I downloaded this app. It's called Random Gate. I used to use it back in the day. Super simple, you can't really see on the camera, but it's got 4 lights.
Okay, riders, random start.
And you can have a gait cadence for your sprints.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
So that was a 6.8. First thing I noticed when I heard that cadence, my race brain kind of took over and I naturally wanted to lean back a little more. So when I heard the beeps, I feel like I really broke form and I couldn't really rock back on it.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
All right, so that was a 6.6. Back to the sprint block.
watch the gate.
I could have made those noises for him. 6'5". You know, I could just make those sounds for you.
What's the whole sequence?
Okay, riders. Gate start.
No.
Oh,
Do you
no.
think Kels remembers the whole
I
cadence?
did it. Okay, riders. Random start. Riders ready. Watch the gate. BMX wife life.
That was the first sprint on the block with the cadence. This definitely allows me to really dig deep on that initial first pedal. And I literally feel it in my quads. I feel my legs like working a little harder, which is pretty cool because it's not the feeling I expected to get with the sprint block. I just thought it was gonna make it a little easier and smoother, but I'm noticing I'm snapping harder and I'm really exploding that start pedal a little more.
Because
Or a lot more really, which is cool.
Because the stand like stops you.
Can't snap normal like you would on a gate start. You have to just drive forward. So that first pedal is really just smooth and fluent instead of just like red light, just pow.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. Between the app and the sprint block, it's a good training tool so far.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready. Watch the gate. Watch that be his best one. Nope. Nope. You goofed it.
On the BMX track, you want to be fastest to the 30-foot line because it's going to make the rest of your race that much easier if you can get to that line first. So hearing a cadence and being able to snap more, it definitely makes it harder. It makes it harder to hold good form, but it forces you to focus on that good form, keep good form. I know that's where I lack. I know if I could spend time in correcting my form, which I've been doing, it will make my first few pedals better. That's all my entire career. That's been my weak point, is my first 30 foot, you know, more my first 15 feet. It's definitely harder. The times are definitely quicker because you're exploding more off the start, which is awesome. We want to train like we race, right? I know I've said we don't want to snap. We don't want to do a snap on sprints because you're doing sprints and not gate starts. But there's a fine line between a sprint start and a snap, which is really cool. You can really just take off and you're not worrying about a stand behind your foot. So with all that being said, I'm sold on the block. The stand can just...
Riders ready. Watch the gate.
I feel like I'm faster. Yes, the times show faster, but I think it's because you can explode more on the first pedal like you would on a gate start. I feel like that's the most important part. It's as simple as the stand is. The sprint block is still very simple, but you can just do a snap. You don't have to have extra thoughts of, all right, just really apply pressure, good form on the first pedal. But I think this way makes it takes a little less thinking out of it. You can just snap and go. So
What do you think?
yeah, I'm fully sold.
You about it?
All right, I'm gonna do a few more,
Okay.
and then we'll wrap things up. I was 6'5". I think I'm starting to drop off. I'm
You
getting
said
tired.
getting tired.
We'll do one more and make sure that it's really a drop off. If we're going slower, we're not making ourselves any better, so just go ahead and stop doing sprints now. If we get 10 sprints in, times are getting slow, that means you're getting tired, and it's time to shut her down.
Riders ready. Watch the gate.
Oh. Let's see what he guesses. What do you think?
That was 6'2".
Yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
So, I know I just said we had a drop off, but that one felt really good. But I was very aware of really pulling my pedal around, and I think I'm getting used to snapping with the block, listening to the app. I'm gonna do a few more, but you guys don't need to see that. I think the review I was trying to do has been a success. I'm sold. I won't be using the sprint stand anymore. I'm pretty happy with my investment into the sprint block. I've been a lot smarter in my old age and being very calculated about things, which is good. I hope that helps you all. And with that being said, smash that subscribe button if you're not already. Hit the like button. And you know what? if you want to hit that little bell for notifications so you know when these videos are dropping, and it helps me provide you with this free content once again. Comment what you want to see next, whether it's just a bike skill, training to help you get faster, because that's what I'm here for. So until then, see you next week. Peace.